Thank you for coming, and I hope that there are a lot of 8th grade Zoomers out there at the meeting, because this information is really good for people that are moving up into high school. And it's kind of the introduction to all of that, and it doesn't hurt to hear this information again, and you'll have different questions as you continue to move up in high school. But especially for 8th graders moving up, this is a meeting that you really need to be paying attention and have this information. So I'm Celeste Arpolis. I'm the counseling director. This is Nancy Cowan. She is also a counselor and academic advisor. We are going to both be sharing information with you today. And the first thing I wanted to talk about, because I will say, and people worry about classes and schedules and all of that, but I will say to 8th graders, the very most important piece of wisdom I would give you moving into high school is this is when your grades count. Okay, so this is the time to think about your GPA. It is without fail. I have juniors and even seniors. I've even had some second semester seniors this year say, how can I dramatically raise my GPA? You can't. It's too late to dramatically raise your GPA. The time to dramatically raise your GPA is when you start your freshman year, okay? But if you know about college application process, that happens before your senior year or during your senior year, but certainly before your senior year grades are finalized. So the grades and the GPA that you're really applying to college with are mainly your freshman through junior year. Now, once you've already got your freshman year and your sophomore year, I can tell you GPA doesn't change a whole lot unless you start failing classes, and that can drop it. But it's difficult to bring it up significantly after sophomore year. So it's so important not to think, oh, I'm going to get my act together and bring my grades up when I get older. The time to do it is freshman year. And hopefully that's when your classes are a little bit easier. So it might be less of a challenge for you to make A's in those classes. So I want to just encourage you in that is the most important thing to be thinking about going into high school, is keeping up your grades. Because this is what I told my children, it's your life, your grades. I can't apply to college with my grades. It's you. And then for most of us, grades can equal money. Okay, so that's your life too. Your debt. If you want money for college, then what colleges are looking for mainly is good grades. Okay, and then they look for other things after that. They look for leadership, they look for test scores, although a lot of colleges have done without looking at test scores for this year. Not that that's going to go away, that will come back. So you still need to be prepared for college testing. But having a good GPA is the #1 thing that colleges are going to look at. So I would just encourage you in that. Okay, so I'm going to move through a couple things. I'm going to talk about a couple things, but I'm going to take you to our academic advising page on the UME website so that you can see where we have links to a lot of all the things we're going to talk about pretty much. And this will be something you'll keep going back to over the years to get information. So here we have the high school academic advising and we have college prep and advising. Real quickly, I'm just going to take you to the college prep and advising. We're going to move away from that one because we're mainly talking about high school today. But on this one, I want to show you, this is where eventually you will do a transcript request. So I have lots of questions. If you are in high school already and you've forgotten this or didn't ever hear it, this is where you go to get your transcript requests, to make your transcript request. And that goes to a form, and you fill that form out completely with an address of either physical or email, and it needs to be whatever the school is asking for, because some schools will accept transcripts only a certain way. So you need to check with the school that you're applying to when you make your transcript request. You can fill that form out in the correct manner and not delay the process. So then that form goes to me and I process your transcript and get it out to the place that you requested in the manner in which you requested it. So that's an important thing on this page. The other thing that you can look at later on is scholarships. Okay, there's some scholarship links on this page. There's a link to, I believe this one right here will take you to the FAFSA form for filling out, hoping to get federal financial aid. That's a form that is an important one to know where it is. And I think that's really, and then college applications. The major sites for college applications are the Common App, which is a national site, and then Apply Texas, which is Texas public schools. I don't know if that's private schools. I know that there are different sites for private schools, at least some of them. So, but we have some major college application sites here that you can go to. And don't forget, tell all your friends. That's where the transcript request is. People do forget. All right, now we're going to go back to the high school academic advising page. And the things that I would like to call attention to, we'll talk about our testing, our college testing. So we do the PSAT, we offer the PSAT to our sophomores and to our juniors. We don't really offer it, we make you take it. We're having it at school during the day. And it's a way for us to kind of see where you are. And it's a way for you to get your scores linked to College Board and Khan Academy. How many of y'all know what Khan Academy is? Have you been on there and seen how to work a math problem? Okay, well, Khan Academy is linked up with College Board, and College Board is who produces the PSAT and the SAT. So when we have you take those tests in the fall of your sophomore year and the fall of your junior year, and this year we actually did the PSAT 8-9 for our 9th graders. So that is not exactly the same as this one as far as what I'm talking about, but the PSAT is exactly what it sounds like. It's a pre-SAT, okay? So they say it's a very almost exact predictor of how you will do on the SAT. And it's good to know because you want to know in advance that when you take your SAT, where you're deficient, what you need to work on, what you need to practice and learn, and how much you want to improve your score and how much you're willing to work to improve your score to get into the college that you want to get into and to have more options. Maybe you don't know if you want to go to college, but at this point in life, what you want to do is keep your options open. Okay, so you may decide, you may think, I'm not going to college all the way up until the end, and then you decide and you wish you had done this, this, and this. So doing all these things, and that's what we're trying to do, is prepare you for college if that is the choice that you make for your life, or the beginning of your adult life.
For those who don't know, that SAT score, if you're going to a Texas State school, that's an implication from scholarship.
Yes, that is the other thing that colleges look at as far as acceptance. Certainly, it's kind of a sliding scale. It's like you can have a higher SAT and a lower GPA, or lower GPA, higher, whatever I said backwards, but you know what I mean. But that is how they look at acceptance. Even though, and I think this is what you are getting at, even though a lot of colleges have said, we will take you if you meet all of these other requirements without you submitting a test score because maybe you didn't get a chance to test because of COVID. That is not true when it comes to scholarships, okay? Scholarships, they are still going to want to see your college entrance score. And that is still going to need to be a high score to get any money, okay? That is really important. And these tests are not STAR tests. They're very challenging and very comprehensive as far as the depth of the material they go into. So, oh yes, this is what I was saying. The PSAT is a predictor of how you will do on the SAT. And that's kind of what we've chosen to focus on here, PSAT and SAT. ACT is another nationally accepted college entrance exam, which you could choose to take on your own. We don't offer that here, but we have offered PSAT here, and we are, starting this year, we have offered SAT school day, which we plan to continue to do. So that's another opportunity for you to be able to take the SAT not on a Saturday and just one more time. Maybe you want to take it 2 or 3 times to get the score that you're aiming for. And one opportunity will come here at UME Prep. And that'll be your junior or senior year, depending on how it works out for you. So when you take the PSAT, your scores, your individual score report is linked to College Board, and you go in there, you make an account, and then it's linked to Khan Academy. And Khan Academy provides then free practice for you for the SAT. So they will look at your scores and shoot you questions that are in the areas in which you need work. Okay, so it's it's a great program for especially being free, because SAT prep is really generally very expensive and very time consuming. Now, also working on Khan Academy is time consuming. You get what you put into it. So you decide how much work you want to put into preparing for these tests. And I mean, that's on you. It's, again, your life. So you decide how much you're willing to work. But to raise your score, you will need to put in a good amount of work. People's scores don't usually change that much unless they have really gone into depth in studying and practice. But for you 8th graders, here is the best piece of advice I could give you for the SAT. Read, not text messages, books, okay? Because that is the way to actually prepare your brain for at least the verbal part of the SAT, is to read, read, read. I have seen kids who don't do that great in some of their classes, but they're voracious readers, and they have been growing up. And all those years of reading, it's in here. It got them speed, which you need for those tests, because I know that a lot of people say the hardest thing is you don't finish them. You can't get through the reading of the paragraphs because they're so wordy and they're so verbose and long. And if you're not a speedy reader, you get bogged down in it and you end up with questions that are unanswered. So you're not getting points for those. So reading in your spare time on a reading level that is yours or higher. Okay, so y'all are going to high school. We're talking books, real books. You could read the Wall Street Journal. You could read some sort of a nonfiction. It doesn't have to be a novel, but whatever you're reading, it should be like on an adult level as far as the vocabulary, because that is going to challenge and grow your mind, expand your vocabulary, and increase the speed with which you can process that type of higher level information. So long term, that's the best way to prepare for the SAT verbal part. Math, I really can't help you. I don't know. Do lots of practice with math. I'm not good at math, but I do know that Khan Academy is good at math, and they can help you with those problems, math problems. So if you practice a lot, that should help. All right, so also I wanted to point out to you that here's where you register on your own for the SAT or the ACT. We have these links here. They're very simple to remember, SAT.org, ACTstudent.org. You will not have to register for SAT school day if you're taking it at UME. You just have to sign up, like via emailing me when the time comes. I think I should also bring that up. Moving into high school, check your emails. You're going to be seeing a lot of things coming through that have to do with, again, your life. So you need to be responsible for checking your emails so you don't miss opportunities and preparation that you will need. One of those emails, I guess I'll go ahead and mention that. Oh yeah, because this has to do with GPA too. I was going to talk about that. One thing you can do to help your GPA is to take honors classes. And that means you have to be, first of all, you have to have had an 85 or above in that subject the year before. And the teacher needs to recommend that you would be fit for an honors class, like you're a diligent worker and you're gonna do what it takes. Our honors classes in high school are embedded. That means they are not a separate class. They're in the same class as the regular class because we're just not big enough to have whole separate honors classes. As we move up through high school, we have pull-out classes, and those are dual credit classes, and they're all just dual credit by themselves. And I'm going to talk about that in a little bit. But our honors is embedded. Now, for honors, you will have some different assignments, some additional assignments, maybe some different test questions. Each teacher runs their honors class a little bit differently. But at the end of it, what you get, if you do all the work and you do just as well as you would have done, you still make a good grade, you're going to get more GPA points. Your multiplier is going to be higher. So as a freshman and a sophomore, if you are really wanting to make sure that your GPA is as hearty as it can be, and you're willing to work to do what it takes to make good grades, because again, making a bad grade in an honors class is not going to help your GPA. You need to make a good grade in an honors class to help your GPA. But if that's you, then pay attention to your email, and near the end, probably about April, sometime in April, late April, there'll be an email about applying for honors. And basically you're just going to need to get like a signature from your teacher, a current teacher, and then bring the paper to me, and it's going to email it, whatever. And I'll check your grade and see if you're eligible to go into honors. So for honors, we have honors in English, math, science, and social studies. Those are we don't have honors in other classes right now. And just to kind of keep it fair, we're not putting honors in electives. So if you take this one, and that's just not how it works. But that is a way that you could get a GPA boost your freshman and sophomore year. We also have honors all the way through 12th grade in those four classes. But most people who were in honors go ahead and move out into dual credit for junior and senior year. And that is a little bit bigger of a boost in your GPA. So there's like 3 GPA sets. You can't really see this, but I'm telling you, it's back in the inner workings of Skyward. There are 3 GPA sets, and the highest multiplier is for dual credit, then the honors, and then the regular is the one for all the classes. So that's how that works. And it's not like an obvious 5 points or something clear cut. It's a out decimal points multiplier that is something I can't even remember for each one. Did you have a question?
Yeah, are your electives, I think yeah, but I'm not sure. Are your electives factored into your GPA?
Every class is factored into your GPA. She said, are your electives factored into your GPA? So yes, every class is, except for study hall, because study hall is no grade. And at UME, if you would like to take a study hall, you pretty much could take a study hall every year as long as you aren't failing any classes, don't fail any classes, because you have to have a minimum of 7 classes every year to be a UME student. So that means that leaves 1 spot for study hall. And study hall is not going to help your GPA or hurt your GPA. It's a non-factor as far as GPA as grades go, because there aren't any. And you're not really getting, like, if you take a study hall, it's not hurting you, okay? Because your GPA points are divided by your number of classes. So it's still the same, you know what I'm saying? Does that make sense? Okay. So I don't want you to think, and I encourage my kids, I have a sophomore and a senior, and I've encouraged them to take a study hall because I want them to get work done at school and spend more time on it than maybe they would want to when they get home. So I think it can be helpful if the time is used wisely. So that's something to consider for parents and students if that's going to work for you. All right, so we are going to move on now to look. Actually, I'm going to go ahead and talk about the dual credit right now. So I will have a meeting for people interested in dual credit, a separate meeting or information. I'm not exactly sure how that's going to work. And there will be a test that we are going to require for people wanting to go into dual credit classes. And what those are, it's just basic information that's, you're getting college credit for those classes. You're getting high school credit and college credit. That's why it's called dual credit. And to be in those classes, you will have to pass a test to be eligible to take them. A lot of people come to me and a lot of people's parents come to me and they say, oh, I want my kids to make dual credit classes as possible starting in 9th grade. And there are schools out there that will let you do that, that will let you start taking dual credit in 9th grade. This is not one of them, okay? We're not doing that. And one of the reasons is because my experience based on watching people is that the maturity level is not as far as responsibility goes for dual credit. Dual credit, you are your advocate, just like you were at college. Your parent can't talk to your teacher. I can't go talk to your teacher. You have to advocate for yourself. You have to read the syllabus and follow the directions and make sure everything is done on time. And they don't have the 20 points off for late. It's, you do it now by this time, or I don't care. I mean, not that they're mean, but they're college teachers, okay? They're used to working with adults, and that is what they're expecting out of you. And because of the lack of intervention that we as UME can have with the professors and the program that's run by the college, that's why we limit it to starting with 11th grade, okay? And you're still gonna be able to get plenty of college credit to transfer in. We've had people go and they're basically transferring as a sophomore because they've gotten enough dual credit to cover the number of credits in a freshman year. So that, I can see that many of you are younger, so I'm not going to go into the depth on how to get into dual credit, but just know that it's not for 9th and 10th grade. It's going to start, you will apply and test sophomore year, spring of sophomore year to go into dual credit classes. Okay, one other thing I want to say about testing, before we get, just one second, before I get into the graduation requirements as far as coursework goes, there is a state of Texas testing requirement, and those are called EOCs. Those are end of course exams, and you have to take and pass 5 of them during the course of high school. And they are English 1, English 2, biology, Algebra 1, and US History. And so what that means is the year that you take those courses, you will have a test at the end of that year called the EOC, end of course exam, and you have to pass that test in order, you have to pass all 5 of them to graduate, okay? So if you don't pass the first time, you will retest, and then you can retest again. It's not just like right away. There are certain testing windows. It'll be like summer, December, and spring. So you can retest and get those taken care of. But that's why your teachers are really trying to focus on getting you to learn that material, because they know you need it for these tests at the end of the course. So especially in those classes that I just mentioned, if you heard me, biology, Algebra 1, and English 1, those can all be freshman year. So that can be 3 of your 5 all at once in 1 year, unless you're ahead and you're taking geometry freshman year. So that is important to take those seriously. I do want to mention that last year, the EOCs were waived as far as like, you don't, like say our juniors last year, they were supposed to take US History in the course exam. They didn't have to take it, and it's waived, and it counts as a win for them. Like they got it, okay? It's not counted against them because the state of Texas doesn't want to test you on a subject a year later after you've already had it, and it was a year ago. So they don't really see that as fair. So they waived because of what went on last spring. However, this year, even if you are at home, you are still required to take the EOC and pass the EOC, the same ones for graduation. So that means for those at-home learners, you will need to come to school to take the EOC, the end of course, for the subjects that you're taking this year. Or if you do not come to school to take them for whatever reason, you will take them upon your return or in the summer so it will keep coming back to you. It's not going to go away and you will just get further and further from your instruction. So it's really in everyone's best interest to take the test when it's fresh, when the subject matter has just been presented that year. And they will not be waived. They're not waiving those this year as far as graduation requirement. Yeah. Question? No, they are during the school. Everyone in those subjects will be testing on a certain day. Yes. All right, I'm going to go ahead and take you now to this important document that you might want to refer to later. And it is the graduation toolkit. It's in English and in Spanish. This is something put out by TEA, the Texas Education Agency. So these are graduation requirements for the state of Texas. So that is, I mean, we don't really have graduation requirements beyond the state of Texas. We have opportunities for you to take dual credit and honors and other fun classes and things like that, but we don't have graduation requirements outside of this. This is what we are going on. So everyone is on the foundation. That's the current graduation program. And then everyone at UME is on the Distinguished Level of Achievement Plan, which is the foundation plan plus endorsement, plus a couple other requirements that are pretty basic requirements. But we put everyone on the Distinguished Level of Achievement Plan because we are a college prep school. And because the coursework that is asked for on the Distinguished Level of Achievement Plan is the same coursework that colleges are going to be looking for. So we want to prepare our students for college, and the best way we can do that is have everyone on the Distinguished Level of Achievement Plan. And you only come off of it if you start failing classes or if for some reason you can't meet this one criteria. Usually the sticking point is Algebra 2. You can graduate in the state of Texas without taking Algebra 2. You can't graduate on Distinguished Level of Achievement without taking Algebra 2. And you can't go to college without having taken Algebra 2 or some math placement equivalent, something they will require. So that is why it's important. You want to go to college, you want to take all the coursework on the Distinguished Level of Achievement Plan. So I will go through the basic foundation plan and the Distinguished Level. All right, so to graduate on the foundation plan, you only need 22 credits. However, you're not going to graduate from UME with 22 credits because to graduate from UME, you have to have 7 classes every year. So 7 times 4 is 28. You're going to be taking that many classes. I hear kids come and they come to Nancy and me and they say, do I have enough credits? What's going on with my credits? And if you're passing your classes, you have enough credits. The number of credits is not an issue. And we are going to also, we're going to make sure that you're taking the classes that you need to take to graduate. We're checking these things. We're making sure when you make your course selections that you're signing up not just for all, art and PE and theater and band. I mean, you have to take certain things. So we are watching your credits. Credits should not be your concern. Grades should be your concern, right? But these are the required, so 22 is just to get out of wherever in Texas. But 26 is for distinguished level of achievement. So you see, you could still graduate on distinguished level of achievement and take a study hall every year and still have enough credits to graduate on that advanced plan. So you will have to have 4 English credits and 3 math credits, 3 science credits, 3 social studies. But let's just forget about that because what on the distinguished plan, you have to have 4 math and 4 science, okay? And you still have to have 4 English, and you only have to have 3 social studies on either plan, depending on what your endorsement is. So the specific courses that are offered, sometimes they will change from year to year. Some classes we have decided, oh, we'd like to do this math class instead, or offer this science class in addition. And we are still making some decisions about a couple course changes that we would like to make as far as offering a new option in one of the core subject areas, or offering a different option. So I'm not going to go over exactly specifically. You know what we have now, or if you don't know, actually I should have showed you that. I can go back. The course catalog is on the same page. And it is not updated because, like I just said, we're still deciding on a couple tweaks to our courses. Some of that depends on we have the right person to teach these classes, someone who is qualified to instruct in certain things that we would like to offer. But this is the course catalog for last year. And so you will be able to see all the classes that are offered in high school currently this year. And you can expect that there will be very little change to this. There will be some change, and there has been every year because we're a new school, new-ish, and we are still adding and growing and changing. But this is basically a document that you should familiarize yourself with leading up to your course selection process, especially if you're just coming into high school for the first time. This is where you can see the description of all the classes that UME offers right now. Okay, so now I'm going to go back. Okay, so you will have, these are your 4 core subject areas that you have to have. I will say, let's do 4 years of. That's what we're actually planning for everyone to do. 4 English, 4 math, 4 social studies, 4 science, right? And then on top of that, you have to have 2 years of language other than English, or computer science, which they have also decided is a language other than English, which I agree, I'm sure it is. But you have to have 2 years of the same language at 2 levels. So you can't take, like we have Spanish, we have ASL, American Sign Language, and we have computer science. You can't mix and match and do like 1 year of ASL and 1 year of Spanish and call it that. You have to have 2 levels of the same. And I would recommend, this computer science, it transitioned a few years ago to permanent as far as the state of Texas. It's something that you still might want to check with your Institute of Higher Education to see what they're interested in. If they want a language like spoken language, you might want to look into that and see where you're thinking about going, if that's something they want to see. But most colleges are, I mean, I haven't found any that haven't accepted computer science as a language at this time. Your question?
Yeah, I heard that, like, I mean, I know we have ASL 1, but we can't like do one ASL 2. Are you guys thinking of having ASL 2? That people can take both of their credits?
Oh, we're definitely having an ASL 2. This was our first year, so we didn't have anybody really ready. Yes, no, we aren't going to drop y'all, the ASL 1 people. We will be having ASL 1 and ASL 2. from here on out. That's our plan. We've been wanting to add that as a language option because we had a lot of people that were interested in it and had asked about it. So we were very thrilled to be able to find someone who could teach that class, and we can open that up as an option. And you also have to have one PE credit, or that can be athletics if you play sports. That can be cheerleading. You have to have one thing of physical education. Even if it can be dance. That's just something we added to, and that can count actually as a fine art or a PE credit, dance. So that's kind of a fun one that we added that can serve in both of those capacities. So you still have to have two things. You can't have it count as just both and nothing else count as the other. Fine arts, you just have to have one credit. We offer quite a few fine arts, and let me see if I can even remember them all. We have theater, art, dance, choir. We are adding band next year because we have junior high band students, and we have fifth and sixth graders now that are doing band. So we've had these younger kids doing band, and they're moving up. So now we're ready to have one high school band class, so that we will be offering that this year. And we've always wanted to do it, but we have had to grow the program from the junior high and the middle school level to be able to support it at high school level. And we're also trying to add a music appreciation class, which might be a dual credit option. And in college, if you don't know, you usually have to have one fine art credit in college too, regardless of your degree. So that might be a good option. And again, I will let you know before the course selection, Ms. Cowan is going to talk more about the course selection process, but before that happens, the courses will be finalized in the course catalogs. So you can look at those and know for sure what your options are. And you are required to have 5 elective credits. You will end up having more than that because of the number of courses. And let me just explain this to you. Some people want to know, like, well, why do I need all these credits? And why are you making me stay here? Well, we have a minimum instructional minutes that is required by the state of Texas. And you know how, like, a lot of people who don't go to UME, they stay in school till like 4 o'clock or 3:30 or whatever, and they do that every year, okay, from freshman, maybe senior year, they get a break and they get out early. Well, we can't really cut y'all that break. That's why we have to have you in 7 classes because of our minimum of instructional minutes that are required. So what I like to say is you've got early release every year at UME. So you're always getting more time at home, more time with your family, more time doing sports or whatever the outside activities you want to do. But it's not going to increase your senior year. It's going to be still the same, even though you've already gotten most of your credits. I've already talked about this. So these are just some other things that are required that we will take care of. You don't have to worry about this, that everyone who graduates has to have CPR instruction. So we're going to be giving that at some point. It'll probably be your senior year. You'll have CPR instruction. You will have a instruction with interacting with the peace officer. That is another requirement. That's not something you have to worry about. We are going to make sure that all of our graduates to be have those required things. And then the speech requirement, this is something you don't have to have a specific speech class, though we would like to, and we are going to be encouraging you to take one of our speech options. But a lot of the speech proficiency can be met in other classes that do presentations. Almost all of, I won't say all, but almost all of our English classes and even some of the business type classes and certainly theater, those all have a speaking component. And so they meet that speech requirement. So it may not be terribly obvious to you like, oh, there's a speech class, but you have given a presentation in something before you graduate. And we're making sure of that. Okay, so the next thing we're going to talk about is something I really don't want you to worry about very much at all, because it is an endorsement, and everyone gets crazy about endorsements because there's so many different ones, and a lot of big schools have lots of very particular endorsements and pathways, and we don't have a lot. We have chosen to focus on engineering as one path of courses that we have 3 different levels of. But to have an endorsement is part of the Distinguished Level of Achievement plan. It's a requirement. You can also have an endorsement just on the foundation plan. An endorsement is something that the state of Texas is requiring. I can tell you, I have sent recommendation letters and filled out many school profiles by a counselor for college, for kids applying to college. Not one time, not one blank have they ever said, what was the kid's endorsement? Okay, not one college has asked that. I will tell you this, and I have to think about this one. They asked what was the rigorousness of their curriculum like. And it says this, highest, fairly high, medium, average, below average, easiest. I mean, there's things like that. So when you're choosing your courses, just know that that's one thing that colleges are looking for. They're looking at your grades and they're looking to see in what kind of classes did you get those grades? Were they all super easy classes, or did you challenge yourself and did you take some higher level classes? So that's really what I would concern myself with, is taking harder courses, which is why we have most of our students, we just say, look, the endorsement, take the courses they're interested in taking. If we have the courses that are specialized that you're interested in, otherwise you can get an endorsement called a multidisciplinary endorsement. And that means you've taken four of the 4 core, 4 years of the 4 core. And that's what we want you to do anyway, because it's the best preparation for going to college. It's 4 English, 4 math, 4 social studies, 4 times. So, and that gets you an endorsement. Yes. I can't hear you. You said something about AP. We do not have AP right now. We have dual credit for college credit. And the reason we don't have AP is because we are a small school and we really couldn't support both with our student population, enough people to do an AP class and a dual credit class, okay? So we chose to go the dual credit route. The reason is because you are guaranteed your credit if the college will accept it if you pass the class. With AP, you can pass the class, but not pass the AP test, and then you don't get any credit. So this is, dual credit is a little bit more sure way to earn the college credit that you're working for in that class. And at this point, we just don't have the option to offer both. So did that answer your question? So one of the options for an endorsement is a STEM math, and that's a pretty easy one to get if you're interested in math. All you do is just, well, you start out taking Algebra 1 in 8th grade. That's really, and so if you're already on the advanced math track because you're taking Algebra 1 in 8th grade, then it would not be difficult for you to get 5 math credits in high school instead of 4. So you have to take physics and chemistry, and which you're going to likely do anyway. And then you have to take 5 credits of math, and 2 of those need to be higher than Algebra 2. So that would be statistics, pre-cal, or calculus. Out of those 3, you would have to take 2 out of those 3, and including Algebra 1, geometry, Algebra 2, and then you have a STEM math endorsement. And you also will have some college credit in math because those pre-cal and calculus are dual credit classes. So that's a great option. If you are interested in math, good at math, I encourage you to take as much of it as you can, and you will have that endorsement. You can also have more than one endorsement if you just end up with more than one, that's fine. We have a series of courses that fall under STEM, and it's not exactly an endorsement, it's a series of courses that we have chosen to focus on, which are engineering. We have Intro to Engineering Design, Principles of Engineering, and Civil Engineering and Architecture. So if you want to go that route, if you're interested in getting all 3 of those classes, then I would encourage you as a freshman to take Intro to Engineering. Because that would be the first one, and, you know, scheduling can be tight. You might not always get what you want. Not might. You won't get what you want every year, all of the things. You just won't, because it's just not going to work out. There will be something that's at the same time as something else, or you know, nobody gets all of the things they want all the time. But I would encourage you, if engineering is what you're interested in, definitely try it out freshman year. Try to get that one into your schedule. You can also not necessarily take your language freshman year. You could start that sophomore year. Remember, you just have to have 2 years. So I wouldn't wait past sophomore year. You need to start it by then. Business and industry endorsement. That's not really an endorsement we have. We offer some courses, several courses from this category. And if you're interested in taking them, I would suggest you take them. And you may end up with a business and industry endorsement by the end, depending. Some of these classes we rotate in and out. We don't offer every single one every year. Some of them might change. So I would just encourage you, if these are courses you're interested in and we offer them, take them and don't really worry about the order of them or trying to get an endorsement with that. Public service, these classes, we don't have those. The arts and humanities endorsement, we have a couple options, and that would be 4 years of theater, 4 years of art, or 2 years of art and 2 years of theater. Basically, any combination of the fine arts, you do all 4 levels of one, or you do 2 levels of 2. And you will have a fine arts endorsement. You could also get a arts and humanities endorsement that's in foreign language. We have just this year, for the first time, been able to offer Spanish 4. So if you had 4 years of Spanish, you would have the LOTE, Arts and Humanities endorsement. You could also have a social studies endorsement, and that means you would have 5 credits in social studies. We have quite a few social studies classes. We have added and accumulated over the years, and we have the regular ones: world geography, world history, government economics, U.S. history, and then we also have African American studies, Mexican American studies, Old Testament, New Testament, the Bible class, that also falls under the social studies category, and personal finance. It's only a half a credit, but that is a social studies class. So that is another endorsement you may end up with if you have 5 credits in social studies. And then finally, there is the multidisciplinary endorsement that I was talking about. And that is basically you're going to take 4 of the 4, or you could have, there's some other ways you can meet that, but it's not exactly 4 advanced courses. That's not something that we have here. And again, we don't have IB or AP, but that isn't necessary. You can still have 4 of the 4 core. So distinguished level of achievement, I'm just going to say this one last thing, and then I'm going to let Ms. Cowan talk to you a little bit about making course selections. But the distinguished level of achievement is the reason you want it is because it keeps your options open. The rigor of your coursework is going to look better if you're on the distinguished level of achievement plan and taking the classes that meet that plan. Being prepared for college, that's the plan that you want to be on. So that is why we have everyone on at the beginning. And there are performance acknowledgements that you could get on your transcript that, depending on if you scored really high on one of the college exams listed here, or if you had a number of dual credit courses. Again, AP and IB, we do not have those, but these are just performance acknowledgements that would look good for you to have. And I think that's all that we're going to talk about on this. I'm going to go ahead. Well, should I take questions? Do y'all have any pressing questions right this minute, or do you want to wait till the end? I'm willing to take a few questions now, and then we can have more at the end. Wait. All right. Well, at this time, I'm going to ask Ms. Cowan to come up and talk to you guys more about the course selection process, which I'm sure is what y'all would love to know about.
This is the part that you came for, right? How do I just close this? All right, so if you see on the page there, it has the UME graduation planning guide. And when you click on that, the first thing you'll see is just sort of the UME breakdown of what she just covered. The 4 years of English, the 4 years of the mathematics, 4 years of science. You can get distinguished level of achievement with social studies. We encourage our scholars to take 4 years of social studies. And as she was talking about, once you do that, you have an endorsement. So it's very easy to get an endorsement, and it's not worth getting. She said, don't worry about it. You can see on our page the endorsements that we have. I would point out that I did discover that you can't get 3 arts and humanities endorsements on your transcript. You get an arts and humanity endorsement in one of these areas. So we have some really good overachieving scholars at UME, which is wonderful, and they were wanting to have the fine arts fund and the social studies fund. And I said, well, you really can't do that. You have arts and humanities, one or the other. And so we make sure that those get onto your transcript. And the multidisciplinary is just very easy to get because we ask you to do that anyway. Now, this will help you plan what to register for. And course selections will be online through Skyward. I'm going to go over that. We don't have this on the website yet, but I'm going to see if we can't put this on the website, the exact instructions, because sometimes Skyward can be a little bit of a challenge. So we'll try to have the directions there, and maybe even a little video that might help you. Because I made one last year because of the situation with COVID. So I think I can pull that up and put that on there too. So if you're let's say that you're going into 9th grade, you'll need to sign up for English 1, and then either Algebra 1 or Geometry, which if you're in Algebra 1 in the 8th grade, you would take Geometry, sign up for Geometry next year, or select that course, Biology. And then you can take either World Geography or World History your freshman year. And then you have 4 electives that you can put in. However, we encourage our 9th graders to get their PE requirement out of the way the freshman year, which is done either through PE athletics if you're going to play a sport, or we have a PE foundations class for freshmen that meets the PE requirement. And then as Ms. Sarpols was talking about, we also have the dance class that can meet that. So we just encourage to get some of these things out of the way, especially the PE freshman year. And we also encourage that you, if possible, and it doesn't clash, and you won't, the exact schedule is not going to be there where you can go through and pick, well, first period I want this, and second period I want that. The schedule's a living, breathing document that, I should say a living, breathing beast, but anyway, so we really, things happen. And of course, we might get to add a course, or, maybe a different teacher is going to come in. And so you'll just be picking the courses that you would like to take. You won't be creating your first period, second period, third period, et cetera, schedule. But if you'll take your PE, and then if you want Spanish 1 or ASL 1 or computer science 1, it's good to go ahead and hit that. And if you want to go ahead and take the fine arts, you can do that. And then that leaves you 1 more for either study hall or some other. Now, let's say, as she was talking about, you want to take Introduction to Engineering and get started on that path. Well, then you could wait to do the fine arts your sophomore year, just like she was saying. So this would be, if you'll get your PE requirement in and a language option in, that is really helpful there. Now, I'm going to also let you know that it's very helpful, and it will be helpful for you to put in the alternate courses that you would like to have as electives in case your first choices don't all work out. And, freshmen, usually it's actually a little easier to get the choices you want because you're not really usually up against something that totally clashes time and period wise. But as you get up into your sophomore and especially your junior and senior year, it may not fit in your schedule to get everything for the electives that you want. And so in Skyward, you can also select, 3 alternate choices that will give us an idea of what you want to take so that we're not either having to try to chase you down in the summer, or the worst case scenario is that we just have to plug you into a class that we see where there's room, and then it ends up being something that if I'd have known I was going to have to take that, I would have picked something else. Well, this spring is going to be the time to pick something else so that we know where to put you and so that we can try to get you in there, or, at least in something that is more palatable to you than not. It all will be on Skyward. We don't have this page on the website yet, but you will go in, either the student or the parent can also go through in their access and pick the classes. But more than likely, your scholar is going to know more about what they really want to take, unless you just want to check and make sure that they did do an English, a math, a science, a social studies, and that they didn't try to just take art, theater, PE, and et cetera, et cetera. So you will go in, and on the left side of the screen, there's a schedule tab, and when you click on that schedule tab, it will pull up their current schedule. But then over on the other side, it will say request, course request now open. And when you click on the course request now open, it's going to open up and show the options. And we do this by grade level so that freshmen aren't going to see government and economics because government economics is a senior course. So we put it in there where you will see grade appropriate courses for your scholar in that grade level. So when you, it'll show up over there with the course options. And then in the middle, it says add, and there's a remove button. And so when you scroll down that available courses and select your English or math or science or social studies, and then your electives and a study hall should you choose, you just click on the course, English 1, and click on that button that says add, and it'll move English 1 over to the right side. You don't, even when you get to the end of this, you don't have to press save. It's kind of confusing, but once it's over there, it's over there. Now say you're like me and you accidentally click on the wrong spot in the Skyward place and you moved over English 2 instead of English 1, then there's a tab there that says remove course. So you just click on the English 2 class that maybe you incorrectly put over there and move it back, say, put remove course, and it'll move it back over. So you can see you should have a total of 7 credits. Now that might not be, the freshmen, yours usually are 1 credit courses, but as you kind of go along, you might take a class that's just a 0.5 credit, and some of them are linked together, like personal finance is a half credit, and it's paired with professional communications. And so I can't remember if we linked those where it automatically gives you both of them or not, but if you see like 6.5 credits, you need another half a credit somewhere. And we will go through all this. We'll make sure that you have all the right number of credits, but it's just much easier if you take care of it when you sign up. So you should have a total of 7 credits in a study hall, or maybe you want to get, 8 classes for credit and not take a study hall, then you would have 8.0 is what that credits would say, total credits up there at the top. But then you have to go and click on another button that says alternate classes. It's right up there next to request and then alternate request. So the alternate request is where you put in, well, if I can't get art, I'd rather take financial literacy and professional communications, or just the other 3 courses for electives, maybe you'd rather take dance. Anyway, if you will put that in, you will be happier and we will be happier because we will have a better idea of the type of courses that you're interested in. Did I answer your question or did you still have a question? I'm sorry, what is?
Can have 8.
Can you repeat?
Have
that?
up to 8.
That's what he was asking, if you have more than 7.
Yes, you can have 8 and that's, if you don't want to do study hall, that's fine. But like she said, we'd like to make sure that people understand that the study hall is really fine and it won't negatively impact your GPA. Any more questions? Quick learners, quick learners. All right, did
I
you?
brought something
Okay.
to say too. Thank you. And Nancy is going to give you very good instructions when that time comes, because I know it's not like we expected you to memorize just what she said
Yes,
about
I
how to do
know.
that on Skyward. There will be instructions specifically. But what happens is we go in and have to fix schedules because the program like shuffles it around and people spits back this person and people didn't get what they wanted. So that's why we have to go in and look. And so what she was saying is very important for us to see an alternate, because that allows us to put your alternate in. Otherwise, we really will just put something in that isn't, if you didn't put anything as an alternate, we'll just pick something for you. That's probably not what you want. But the other thing I was going to say just real quick is that if you, the way our school works, we're growing to fill, and we'll have like 100 people in each grade level. And so our classes are at a cap too. We have our charter that says we can only have a certain number of people in classes. So if you fail a class, you could make that class up in summer school, probably. But if it's like a prerequisite, let's say you fail Algebra 1 and you need to go into geometry next year, you don't come to summer school and redo Algebra 1 to get your credit, then you're not ready to go into geometry. And, your parents call and say, well, can they take Algebra 1 again? Not really, because we're full, okay? And we have to leave those spots for the people taking those classes for the first time. So under very special circumstances, we might be able to fit you in there, but you should never count on that. So if you fail a class, it is on you to get your credit recovery in the summer before you come back for the next year, for us to be able to ensure we can make you an appropriate schedule for your grade level. Or you may not be able to have a schedule made. And if you can't have a schedule made because you didn't meet the prerequisites, then we have a big problem. So passing classes, first of all, but getting your credit recovery on your own that very summer is essential if you're going to move forward at UME. Any other questions?
The question in the chat, will there be more information about dual credit or endorsements?
There will not be very much more information about endorsements. You are welcome to call Nancy or I, email, and we can talk to you individually. As I said, the endorsement is not a big concern. It really is something that will work itself out if you're taking the classes that we're advising you to take. Yes, there will be more information about dual credit. There will be a whole nother, I don't know if I'm going to have a meeting depending on what's going on, but if you're going to be applying for dual credit, there will be a test that you have to take. And again, that won't happen until the spring of your sophomore year. So we're not talking to 8th graders, we're not talking to 9th graders. We're talking to 11th graders who maybe haven't tested into dual credit, or 10th graders who want to start dual credit junior year. And I will send information out about that, and we will get that underway. It'll be in April. So y'all just look for emails about dual credit if you're interested in that. Did you have a
I did have two actually. So one of them was about dual credit, because it's through Mountain View, right?
Yes.
And that's because of where UME is. Because like we have people in different counties that go to UME, but regardless, it's still Mountain
It is
Online.
Mountain View, but they've all joined. It's Dallas College. All the campuses that are in Dallas County are now called Dallas College. And we have our dual credit program through them because that's the county our school is physically located in. So it doesn't matter that somebody may live in Tarrant County, that's not who we're working with because our school is in Dallas County. So that's what we're limited to.
And on the course catalog, if it doesn't, like it, sometimes it says, like prerequisite, English 2 before you take English 3 or whatever. If it doesn't say that, are some of those courses open to like freshmen and sophomores, or does it, or it only depend, like you're talking about, it only pops up if you're eligible for it?
As far as the course catalog, if it says there's a prerequisite, then there is. If it doesn't say there is one, then there isn't a prerequisite. It's just a course that you can take at any time. And I mean, unless there's a mistake in there, but it should be that all the courses that have prerequisites say prerequisite this. And what Ms. Cowan is saying is when you go in to make your course selections, she has put them in such a way that you will not be able to choose English 3 as a freshman or so that's not going to be a choice that you see. As far as the prerequisite, well, we have people on different levels of math. So I think that's why she said, if you took Algebra 1, take geometry next, because that's the order it goes in. Then Algebra 2 is third. But those classes will have both. We'll have multi-level, we'll have sophomores and freshmen in geometry. So does that make sense?
Okay.
Any other questions or Zoom questions? No? Okay. All right. Do you have anything else? Okay. Okay, well, if y'all don't have any other questions, or if you do have a question, you can come speak with us. We can hang around here for a little bit. But also, if you want to have like a meeting and really like delve into something that you didn't think we got deep enough into, feel free to email me or Ms. Cowan, and we can set up an appointment with you to meet with you and your student on the phone or Zoom or in person, whatever you're comfortable with. Thank you all so much for coming today, and we look forward to helping you have a great year next year.